guess what today is? It's Paper Pumpkin Day. Our paper pumpkin arrived this morning with the rest of our forwarded mail, and we went and picked it up, so now I get to do my videos. Hi, Tracy Lewis from Stuffin' Things, here today with my paper pumpkin. That is a few days later than normal because we have to have our mail forwarded to us. My mail forwarder lets me know as soon as my special package arrives so that I can get her the forwarding information. Sometimes it doesn't work out that we're at a place long enough for her to mail it to us, but in this case we were moving in 2 days, so as soon as she let us know, I gave her the address of the campground we were going to be moving to, so while we were traveling, this was traveling to us. So one of the things about this that I saw on the Paper Pumpkin fan group on Facebook is that there was a mistake made, and I was hoping, fingers crossed, that I would actually get the oops. So here we have some original lemon lime twist die cut elements that were cut backwards. The corrected version is in the box. So I have some of these backward die cuts, which is going to be awesome. The Stampin' Spot is Berry Burst, which is not a color I have heard of, but I'm not the best at my colors yet. The different stamps we have are a happy birthday, congratulations, thank you, hello, and have a great day. We have a flower, a little tendril, a fern leaf, and a butterfly. I will admit I actually do peek ahead at the fan club and see what I'm going to look forward to getting to make. Right off the bat, I see coordinating baker's twine with the berry burst, some ribbon, and some glimmer paper in, I think it's called diamond dust or something like that. I'm not good at my glimmer paper. Alright, so we've got those two items identified. Looks like we have some custom size square cardstock. Actually, I see here some envelopes. Alright, some card front cutouts. These are cutouts. These must be their matching envelopes. Let's see what this is. A set of glimmer paper. Oh yeah. Okay, so there are 8 squares of glimmer paper. It appears there are 4 full-size envelopes, A2 size I would call them. So we have die cut card bases. I see 4 of the squares. And 4 of the large die cut. Let's see, I want to show you guys. So that's very pretty. A whole bunch of double-sided tissue tape is what it's called, so that's interesting. I don't know if that's what it's been called before, but that's what it says it is. We have die-cut butterflies. Yeah, so that must be special tape, the double-coated tissue tape, because here's what's the normal double-sided tape. but it's been cut out, so I can't really see what it says there. Yep, it says double-sided tissue tape, so I guess that's what it is that we get every time. We've got 8 banners and 10, 12 butterflies. These pieces must be what goes behind the A2 size. And then underneath here are going to be some instructions. So I am going to get set up to do the 2 cards for the create, and then I'll start thinking about what my alternative designs will be. Because this time we're somewhat limited by the materials we've been given, because we did get the 8 bases and we only have the 8 glimmer papers, so I'll have to think about that. That will be an interesting challenge. So stay tuned and I will be right back. Alright, I'm back. I've got myself organized. Got the instructions. We'll do the large card first, although the steps actually have you working on both cards. So we're just gonna get to it here and get these 2 cards made so we can move on to the alternatives. And now I will go away and contemplate some alternatives, and I will come right back. So stay tuned. All right, I am back. And before I get into the alts where we stray very far from the first two cards, I want to point out that these two cards are actually quite unique to me, and I really like the concepts that I see here. I really like that glimmer paper behind these thin die cuts and then the cross die cutting. So I actually looked at my supplies that I have, and I'm a fairly new Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, but I have collected Stampin' Up! For quite a few years now, and I have a thought first. I'm going to try to replicate these two cards with some substitutions, and I've written down some things. I did look up Berry Burst because I'd told you I'd not heard of that. That is a 2017-19 in color. I think it's a very pretty color. I really like it a lot, and I'm glad to say I now own the Stampin' Spot for it. So we have this card, and I talked to you about being a recipient of the Oops package. So because I have this Oops package, it got me to thinking I wanted to try as close as I could to replicate each of the cards with what I have. So I looked through my die cuts, and my husband is forever amazed that with all of the die cuts that I own, or the dies, that I can actually find exactly what I'm looking for. So I am pretty organized, and I found this die right here. It's a part of the Secret Garden. I know there's a more current die very similar to this. I've seen it used, so if you know which of the current dies there are available, by all means use that one. But I had this one on hand, and I'm looking at it as it relates to these machine die cut ones, or laser cut. And I thought, you know, I can probably replicate that pretty well. So here it is. This is my replica. It's rough because I actually tore the corner, but I didn't want to start all over and get another piece cut. So this is really for kind of a proof of concept of how well I like this type of card as a type of card that I can make. Another change that I made, you can buy the Berry Burst, this is seaming tape, and the 5/8 inch crinkled seam binding ribbon is available at Stampin' Up! You can also, if you own Copic markers and have the RVs, one of the RVs would easily replicate that. But I just looked through my cardstock and grabbed just a cardstock color. So if you have any of the supplies of the in-color cardstock, you could buy it. Or I even see you can do the Stampin' Write markers. You could do a watercolor application and get any kind of white ribbon made into the Berry Burst. So there's lots of ways to replicate that Berry Burst color. I did my closest. This is Sahara Sand. It's a little bit different. You can see I don't own Sahara Sand, but you know, from my cardstock, which is like Recollections, pretty close. So I went ahead and cut 4 of these to replicate the 4. If I had a smaller leaf, certainly I would have used a smaller leaf here, but for our proof of concept today, just to see how well it works. This is the die cut. The other thing I noticed with my square hole that I cut out, it's just a teeny bit too big, so I'm going to carefully center the lemon lime twist layer behind. And I'm not going to permanently glue all this down because we might want to experiment a little bit with some colors. So now that is on, just enough tacked on for us to experiment. I do have a butterfly here that we can attach in some cute spot. Let's make sure it's attached there. So now, glimmer paper. I don't own any of the glimmer paper actually, but I do have these 2 glimmer papers. It's called Dazzling Diamonds. that comes with the kit. So if you have Dazzling Diamonds, you can go ahead and use it. But I went ahead and mocked it up with this. And I just was curious about the blue. I thought it might introduce too many colors, but it is sky colored. So you could probably get away with a blue glimmer paper as well. And then my happy birthday, I actually popped it up. It wasn't part of the instructions for the kit itself, but I really like popped up sentiments, so I'm going to go ahead and pop it up. And I might even just do this for my proof of concept. And I think either the blue or the silver does look just fine, and of course Dazzling Diamonds looks great. And I would have myself a nice alternative card that I made myself. Even if you needed, like I have some lemon lime twist, not Stampin' Up, but pretty close. In fact, I think I might have this color. You could cut these leaves and then just nest in the green leaves behind the Sahara Sand leaves, and that would look fine too. So I'm liking that I have many ways to replicate this card with just some standard supplies that I have. Even if you had different leaves, you could probably find something close enough. So I'm liking it, and I think that that's a cool alternative idea, is to make your own version of the card with the ink and just your own papers. So now this one gets trickier. Here is the card we made, and I have started to replicate it, but I didn't get as far on this one. I thought I could go ahead and work on this one with you guys. And I'm at the point now where I'm going to replicate. I cut these lines. I did not have, okay, so I did find eventually that I actually own that, I can't remember what the color is. It is, so that we know, Calypso Coral, and Peekaboo Peach is behind. So I do have Calypso Coral and then Peekaboo Peach. This is the closest I have, so these are the two. At the time, with what I found, I went with two different colors, more of an orange, as you can see, like a burnt orange, and then this lighter orange tone. So this card is gonna be not as close a match. I also, for the filigree, I wanted something really thin, and I know that there is a more current, really thin filigree. I even think it even has the word filigree. I'll look it up and get it logged for when I document the video. And what I used was a Spellbinders. This is a Spellbinders die cut. It's a probably long discontinued now. And I was going to go ahead and replicate these lines by cheating and taping these lines down in the same place. I already have some adhesive on the back here to use. So this is an easy way that you can replicate. I just cut these lines slightly under 1/4 of an inch with my guillotine cutter, my little mini one. So like I said, this will be a step further away from the original card because I'm making it A2 shaped first off. I could cut it down if I wanted to, but for my proof of concept, I'm just going to leave it A2 size. I don't often do cards that are square. I mostly stick to A2 as my preference. Okay, I have 2 more of these to put on. Nope, and that side needs a little adhesive. I'll just pop one of these on that side. But I really liked these cards, and I wanted to be able to make them. So I'm like, how close could I get? Okay. See if I can line these up. Of course, it would be better if I had like a die that cut. I don't know if there are any out that'll cut straight lines. That would of course be ideal. So now I'm just eyeballing the straightness because they weren't very straight. Alright, so this isn't perfect, but for proof of concept, I have now again the two same colors. I'm going to trim that one piece down. I have a butterfly. I have a strip of the berry burst to go behind the sentiment. I might go ahead and trim it off. And then I will do the same thing here where I sneak the baker's twine. I'm just going to cut the V here. Put a dot on my butterfly. I like the butterfly being off the circle. Little adhesive on here. I'm going to pop this up. Like I did the sand colored one. And we'll see what it looks like. I wanted to try. We've got the silver and we have the light blue. I might like the light blue on this one better because it doesn't, the differences in the colors are a shading difference of the same color, orange peach. So I think that I'm going to like something like that with the light blue over that, and I'm going to trim this off. Then the only question would be, do I cut it off square or do I leave it like this? Because literally it is the same width, it is just cut off. I guess it would be a really easy thing for me to cut off. So I'm going to see if I can do that. since I've replicated it this far, I might as well finish. Let's make sure we're straight. Alright, so there's my replicate. And then I will step away now and come up with some actual true alternatives now that I got this out of my system. And I am very happy with my two alternatives, but closely mimicking the cards. Let's set them up here and see how they look. So this is the closest I could get with what I have, and again the closest I could get with what I have, and it still looks very cute. Alright, I'm back with two what I would consider true alternatives. What I have noticed on the Paper Pumpkin fan group on Facebook is a lot of people don't like the bright colors, and they're steering toward the soft suede color tones, and so I'm totally happy with the bright colors, love the lemon lime twist, and love the berry burst. So my two examples I have right now to show you before I go over into the soft suede realm are two alternatives that are, one is really easy to do, well they're both really easy, but this first one is simply doing some stamping. I used the happy birthday, the flower. There's this little tendril, so I used the little tendril, and the leaves, I don't own lemon lime twist, but I used the Distress Ink Twisted Citron, and then I colored. I have not got my blends yet, and I'm not sure how close the blends work, but I do have a potential blends solution for you to consider on this one. So I used these three pencils, Melon Mambo, Old Olive, and Rich Razzleberry, and then I blended a little bit with the blender pen. So that's what gave me the colors, the pink, and as well as the darker tones in the leaves. And I did use the leaf stamp. Oh, the leaf stamp is actually still on the block. So these four stamps, love the stamps as well as the butterfly. And what you can do for sequins, if you take the sequins, these were from the October kit. They're what I call an AB stamp. I mean AB stamp, an AB colored sequin. And I used the closest, this is called our FRV1, which is a fluorescent color in the Copic markers, and used it to do a match to the to the Berry Burst. And you probably have a blends that you could put over your leftovers from October to be able to use them on a clean and simple. I did a very thin border of the Berry Burst. I sponged it, and then I even sponged the edges with the Twisted Citron, and then in the very back tilted is a lemon lime twist piece of cardstock. And then of course I used the Berry Burst, which again, if you don't have enough of this, you can just get white seam binding and make your own with the closest match with the blends. So all that's left to do on this one, actually, because I see I didn't apply my sequins, is to apply the sequins. So I'm going to use a couple of these dots. I think I was going to do this one here. On the upper part, and then I had a 6mm. This is a large sequin that I had left over from something else. So this is the first clean and simple easy to make, came out cute as can be. And I am short happy birthday cards, so I am focusing on happy birthday cards. The next one, I actually also have almost together. It is not so much a stamping coloring project, but again, I think I basically took my oops and I have attached a butterfly. Again, if you have a blends that's a close match, this is a pink rhinestone, colored pink, in my case using Copic markers. But just something to consider if you have the blends is being able to quickly color ribbon, rhinestones, pearls, and sequins, which I do all the time. I have used quite a bit of the ribbon because I know I can replicate the ribbon very easily, so I'm not worried about running out of it. Remember, I use these kits for make and takes as well as doing the alternative videos, so I have to stretch my kits pretty far, and I don't buy more than one. And then this thank you, the way I did it is popped up, and it's going to be offset from the ribbon, something like that. So this was very easy, and I used for this background, I used green, and I still think that you could use the dazzling diamond and it would look great with the dazzling diamond behind it. I don't know if I have a dazzling diamond piece here, but let's just see if you slipped it in there, because it should fit. No, except I attached it. So yeah, if you did dazzling diamond, that would look perfectly fine. I just used the green because that's all I have as an extra. So I think that that is a very cute alternative card and very easy to make with some different adjustments that I told you that you could easily do. This is just a piece of white that I cut with a tag. If you had a fancy little tag die, you could use a fancy tag die. You could, if you didn't like the thickness here, you could trim it down to 1/8 all the way around if you wanted it narrower. If you had the berry burst and you wanted to add more than what I've added to tie in the berry burst, you could do a cutout of the berry burst as well. So I have now these two clean and simple cards that both use the lime and the berry burst because I really like them. And now I'm going to go and play with the soft suede, see what I can do. I've got a couple of different color tones to play with and see what I can come up with there. And then I might even do a third one that'll make me having 5 alternatives of with the, I do have the Calypso Coral, so I have that, and I can do a Calypso Coral alternative when I come back. Alright, so my phone died in the middle of explaining this very last one. It was only 16 seconds in, so this was my last card that I made. It has a background that I made with the fern that I did the edges in Wild Wasabi and the middle in Twisted Citron. I used Wild Wasabi on the stems of the flowers, and the flowers are berry burst. The little twirly vine is Wild Wasabi, and the butterflies are made with berry burst as well as the happy birthday. I colored the flowers with these two, Melon Mambo and Rich Razzleberry, and I also colored the 2 butterflies. The sequins that I used, I actually made this shaker card out of some extra acrylic that I had left over from some embossing folders that I got. I used the Stampin' Up! Strips. You get 2 per pack, and this big oval actually used a little over a strip and an inch. This was what was left over from that, about inch and an eighth. So I highly recommend those. They're very nice, easy to use. And I used, for sequins, I actually pulled out one of my extravaganza kits that I had bought. It is the kit called Banner Surprise from June 2016, which I bought it for the washi tape, the sequins that are giant baggy, as well as the tip-top taupe lined cards that I'm going to cut in half and make into make and take projects. I used some leftovers on this as well. I had an extra lime green leaf that I had cut out. These did not fit. I still have 2 leaves left that I cut, and they just didn't fit into what I was making. And I fussy cut these butterflies so that I can save the rest of the ones that are die cut for my make and take projects. And that concludes my alternatives. I'm going to set everything out that I have made. Oh, one last little point. When I get a spot, I immediately pull out a brand new foam. The foams fit in here. You don't even actually need Velcro, but I do have Velcro that I will put in there. But I actually used the foam today to do some sponging on one of the cards that I'll show you. So if you do the round sponges, be sure to have some extra on hand for your spots. They fit in there perfectly. So this is my shaker card with my own background, homemade myself. This one is one of the alts, and then I made a clean and simple alt as well. I really like that. I talked about coloring the sequins. I talked about coloring that rhinestone with your blends. And then here's the 2 that I made. That's the one that came with the kit, and this was my alternative that I made with some different materials. And then I haven't put it all together so I can show you what I actually did. I really did glue every strip on that I had cut. And I used for a template, I used the existing light orange that came with it. So there's that one. This was my one that I made for the instructions, and this was my alternate where I found the secret garden ferns. And one of the ferns that would be good is for the harvest bundle that I think in January is no longer a bundle, and there's a punch. It's a 3-leaf punch, so you would get like that much, and it's a little bit different shape, but that would be a good one that I thought of to replicate your own little shadow box. So these are my 5, and then I will uncover the project instruction versions, and that should do it. I am done with my alternatives. Hopefully you found this interesting. If you do, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be doing these every month, and making the paper pumpkins are my focus as a business. I use them for make and takes, so I will be doing this every month. Thanks for watching.